Hello, family. Welcome back to Dark Woke, your direct link to all things politics, comedy, and culture. I am your host, Janaya Future Khan, champ yapper and frequent nuisance in the activist and comedy worlds. Let's get dialed in. But just before we jump, Dark Woke is a self-funded, self-produced show. We're on Patreon/Dark Woke. I am so grateful for all the support and for you just taking the time to listen. Okay, listen, look, every time that I think this, it can't possibly get more ridiculous. Like this circus can't continue. And before we hop into the cabinet meeting, measles, and a slew of other important events, I have to tell you that I saw the AI generated video of Donald Trump's Riviera in Gaza. So he posts an AI, this is Donald Trump, the current president of the United States, right? He posts an AI generated video of this like Trump Gaza thing on Truth Out. And I am speechless. I feel like it's happening too often. I'm going to play it for you. And as I play it, for those who are not watching and listening only, I want to describe certain things that I'm seeing to you. Okay? I can't believe that this is something that bird-brained dork actually posted. It's evil, but it's comically evil. I just need to play it. So we're opening up with Sky News saying Donald Trump posts what's next for Gaza video on Truth Social. And it's images of beachfronts, right? Cabanas, yachts. It looks ridiculous and dystopian. Listen to the music. Okay, wait. Okay, so right there's an image there's two images I need to describe to you. One is of a fake Elon Musk eating a sandwich. And first of all, I don't think he eats. I think he sucks on like plasma from young people. And the other thing is like it's Elon Musk has a face that looks like melted wax, right? Like he's got a waxen face, like all subhumans do. It's really creepy because it's AI, but then there's this image, and remember this is AI generated. There's an image of belly dancers, okay? But the belly dancers, right? So they're in the skirts. They have the I'm sorry, I don't know all but the many jingly belts, right? The bellies are out. The titties have these like pretty bras on, right? Long hair down to the back. But then, suspiciously, they have beards. They have beards and they're wearing turbans. And I don't think they picked up on this. Like basically what I'm trying to explain to you is in this image that Donald Trump fucking posts, an AI generated video of this like Gaza Riviera bullshit. There's basically Jonathan Van Ness, six of them belly dancing on a fucking beach, and somehow the most transphobic fucking administration that you can imagine is posting this shit unironically. Oh my God.
Gaza is finally here. Trump Gaza shining bright. Golden future, a brand new life.
Do you hear the corniness of this? Okay.
Feast and dance, the deal is done. Trump Gaza.
There's money falling from the sky while ethnically ambiguous children jump up and down on a beach, grabbing at the money, right? And then there's a very portly, large Donald Trump talking to somebody. And then it opens up on the scene of this disgusting, ostentatious, garish building that says Trump Gaza. And that's clearly this image that they're trying to sell. Because remember, the entire point of this, the entire point of their administration, the entire reason why they made these big swings is because it's for the money. How much money can we make? That's the only thing that this for-profit administration cares about.
Number one, Trump
And there's Elon Musk again eating a falafel. There's giant gold statues of Donald Trump everywhere. And again, this image of Trump Gaza. There's Elon Musk again. Like, I feel like he made this, because I'm going to tell you something right now. Donald Trump looks disgusting in every image of this, but Elon looks, this AI, this fake, Elon looks, he looks like Enrique Iglesias. That's what he looks like. Like, what the fuck is this? This is some bullshit. He looks younger. He looks tanned. The AI generated Elon Musk looks more human than Elon Musk does. I can't, this is ridiculous. And again, money is just pouring from the sky. This is what the current president of the United States posted on Truth Social. Oh my God. Then there's an image. Oh, we got to pull it back. Then there's an image. Okay. For my visual people who are listening, I want you to think of two full uncooked chickens, right? Pale and textured, right? recently preened, feathers pulled. Now put those two raw chickens, whole chickens, on these, those chairs, those lounge chairs that are surrounded by pools on resorts. Okay. Now, if you put both of them in some blue shorts, that's what Donald Trump and Putin looks like together. So they're literally on these chairs together in trunks with drinks in their hands, but they both look disgusting. I'm telling you, Elon Musk made this video. They both look disgusting, right? And I don't mean, because, listen, I like a Rubenesque figure, but that's not what I'm looking at. Like, Trump's face is melting into his neck, which is melting into his body. Like, they look like ice cream that's been in the sun too long. I feel like Elon Musk, that bitch definitely made this. And then again, there's a zoom in on the Trump Gaza.
Number one.
Isn't that gross? Okay, so I saw this and I was like, this can't be real. And then I was like, did JVN respond? Because they clearly stole his image. They stole his image. Okay. So I'm going to tell you something now that's going to really piss you off, right? I mean, it's pretty much everywhere in the news. It's in the Washington Post. An unvaccinated child died of the measles in Texas, right? This is a first for the U.S. in 10 years. A child, right? A kid, just an innocent kid, right? Dies because of the fucking measles. Something that we've been in front of for ages. So this is at least 124 cases have been reported since last January, right? And mostly among children and teenagers who were unvaccinated or whose vaccination status was unknown. You want to know why it's teenagers and children? Because their parents are deciding that they shouldn't be vaccinated anymore. And look, I'm all for, and you know this, fuck the, big pharma. But this is not what this is about. This is anti-science. And I'm going to say something. We have been too nice to unvaccinated people. To anti-vaxxers. We've been way too fucking nice. We used to treat them like idiots and pariahs. And they feel so emboldened now. And what makes me angry is that you're making decisions for children and young people that are not at a place to make and this is what I'm trying to say. You're worried about gender affirming care, right? That's what you've made this whole campaign about. But you are literally allowing preventable diseases and viruses to kill your children. Okay, cool. I wanted to be clear. I just wanted to make sure we were all on the same page there, right? In the measles, there's a book called The Measles Book, right? It's published by Children's Health Defense, right? That's the anti-vaccine nonprofit that Robert F. Kennedy founded. He wrote, right? This is the guy who's going to be leading us in science and research, right? And health. across the country. So, Children's Health Defense, this is an anti-vaccine nonprofit made by Robert Kennedy. In it, he wrote, this is what Kennedy wrote, that, quote, measles outbreaks have been fabricated to create fear, leading government officials to, quote, inflict unnecessary and risky vaccines on millions of children for the sole purpose of fattening industry profits. This right here is very manipulative. It's when you take something that is true, right? Which is that we have a serious problem with industry profits, like big pharma. We have a very serious problem with big pharma, right? We know this. And you say that, but then you use that to justify this, right? Which is an anti-vaccine position. This is just manipulative, and it's fucking gross. I'm so angry. I'm so angry at this. As of February 20th, there have been 3 measles outbreaks in the U.S. And 16 last year. This was according to the CDC. The outbreaks last year totaled 285 cases. This year's tally so far is nearly half of that. I want to just remind you that we're in February. Like February is just about to end, right? And while Medicaid, right? And I want to remind you about, because I know we just went over this in yesterday's episode, but I want to preface something, right? I want to bring this up, and then I'm going to play something for you. Okay. Medicaid covers 21% of Americans nationally, right? We went over this yesterday, but this is really important because this is what we're losing. 21% of Americans nationally, 83 million low-income Americans, 4 in 10 children, 1 in 4 adults with disabilities, nearly 50% of kids with special needs, 41% of births nationwide, 5 in 8 nursing home residents, and 32% of people, right, are in Mike Johnson. This is the current House Speaker. In his home state. That part matters less. The other stuff, all of this is what's being cut. And while this is happening, right, currently, because they had their whole little cabinet meeting where Elon Musk got to run around and talk about how fucking awesome he is in the work that they're doing, right? All the receipts that they says, the DOGE is saying, we're cutting all of this. We're cutting everything to increase transparency, to stop needless, useless government spending. Right? That's what they said. The dozens of DOGE receipts, and these are air quotes that I'm using, right? They saved no money and killed contracts meant to boost efficiency. This is a fact. This is reported by NBC News, right? So the receipts published by Elon Musk DOGE, right? They aren't receipts at all. Remember, I told you. I got too animated there. You remember I told you? But he just posts screenshots of bullshit, like random things and or invoices that I could make. And then all of these losers in this echo chamber of dumbness, right? In this disinformation pipeline, just run around as if it's proof. But when you actually look at it, right? The receipts that Elon Musk presented, they're negotiated deals with vetted vendors who might do future government work. They're not receipts. They're not receipts at all. I just it's unbelievable. Let me just read you this quick thing from NBC News, right? Take a quick look at the Department of Government Efficiency. That's DOGE. That's their list of canceled contracts. And you'd think the Agriculture Department spent $25 million on diversity trainings 4 separate times, right? While the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau spent $600 million on management consultants. Now, I want to remind you that the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has been integral in ensuring that average Americans, that just regular people living their lives, are not being preyed upon by corporate interests and predatory lending, etc. Right? Yeah. So they lied about these things. They said they are presenting it. Yeah. The Ag Department spent $25 million on 4 different diversity trainings, 4 separate times, which comes to $100 million. They're saying, $100 million was spent on DEI by the Agriculture Department, right? And the CFPB, which every fucking tech billionaire has desperately wanted to dismantle forever, right? They spent $600 million on management consultants. This wall of savings, right? The quote and list of canceled contracts include these big blown out receipts, but they're not one. They're not receipts. They're just prospects. They have, and I want to be clear, for services that will likely never be rendered, because the whole point of them being here is to like take as much out of the federal government, as many regulations, protections, rights, civil and human, and just fucking, and then just cut. Why are they doing this, right? We went over this a few episodes ago. Why are all of these oligarch fucks doing this? Because they are in the government and because they want to see through re-upping their tax break. So the tax break, this massive billionaire tax break and this massive multimillionaire and corporate tax break is expiring this year, right? Now remember, where does America get its monies from, right? How does it? A lot of that comes from collecting taxes. So how are they going to cover? And it might be a good time to re-up that episode, so I'll go back through the notes. If they cut, what do I want to say? How do I want to say what I want to say? Okay, I got it. They have to cover their spread. They've got to cover their spread. So if they give these massive corporate tax cuts, right? And massive cuts to themselves, massive cuts to big pharma, big oil, big tech, all of it. And they are now going to be paying fewer taxes than they ever have. That money that deficit to cover their tax break has to come from somewhere. And it's not in the federal government unless they gut Medicaid, unless they gut fucking the CF, listen, I got all confused. I always want to switch the F and the P, but the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, right? If they lay off all these federal workers, if they make life significantly worse for everybody, just so they can cover the spread on their own tax breaks, that is it. Everybody thinks on their side, everybody who voted for him, unless and I know some are having a very rude awakening, but they genuinely believe that the quote money that's being saved, which is non-existent, right? It's non-existent, is somehow going to land in their pockets. I don't know how to wrap my head around that level of stupidity. It's really hard for me, but I'm trying so hard. I'm going to play a clip for you because I know that the first instinct is to be like, okay, well, certainly people are starting to see this, right? Like they've got to be seeing this. And don't worry, then I'm going to make it awesome, but we're going to have to suffer for just a second, right? Just a bit, just a second. I'm going to play this clip for you. So this is just a regular person who is interviewing 2 or 3 very serious Trump supporting wieners who want to see Trump run again in 2028. So the TikTok I got this from is called Distill Social. And I'm going to play this for you because I found it to be wild and also informative.
What gets you so excited about the work Elon Musk is doing?
I mean, he's doing what the people voted for. And if there's a problem, we take the democratic way, right? And you can protest, you can have a problem with it. You can bring it to the limelight.
What is the democratic way to reel in Elon Musk when he is an unelected appointed official?
No,
he's actually elected. He was on the ballot.
The American people.
Elon Musk.
he said he was on the ballot, right? He was on the ballot.
Was not elected.
Well, no. From a Democratic perspective, he was not elected. The American people voted for that.
They voted for Donald Trump.
That's your opinion.
There are constitutional processes for getting rid of that funding. Congress has power of the purse. Congress passes the budget. The president signs it. That's our constitutional process for determining where our money goes.
Well, who dictates the constitutional process? Is it?
The Supreme Court interprets the Constitution. And with a Republican control in Congress, you could pass a budget making these cuts and go through it constitutionally.
Yeah, but that's been the way of the United States for how long, and it's not been working out very well.
So sidestepping the Constitution is fine when we need to speed up the process.
The deep state is extremely smart. This is a very, very long process that's been going on. It's being exposed. You have to come out with a cannonball in order to eradicate this. That's what DOGE is doing.
But that cannonball is the consolidation of so much power in one individual.
Like, okay, that's what DOGE is doing. And the reality is, this is what the majority of Trump voters believe. That it's only the poorest and people whose services will be cut, their SNAP benefits. I want to argue that it's a lot of people who didn't vote for Donald Trump too, who will be impacted by this, as we know. A lot of people who didn't vote at all. But why I brought this up, right, is because it occurred to me that what we see as worrisome, right? What we see is worrisome. Like I'm looking at this. I'm with you. We're going over these things together. We're covering this shit. We're studying. We're looking at the landscape, right? So that we know how to move when it's time to move, and it will be time to move. It will. What we see, right? Us lefties, progressives, everybody except fuck you, Hakeem, right? Like bitch ass Hakeem Jeffries, bitch ass Chuck Schumer. Except for them, what we see as worrisome, what political scientists, what scholars, what scientists in general, what liberals and progressives and lefties, what we all see as not just worrisome, right? Republicans and their voters see as welcome. It hasn't hit deeply enough. Not enough people on their side have suffered. Now, we are not waiting for that to happen. We don't need to wait for epiphanies and all this other shit, but that's what it, and I started to look more like into things like, in the manosphere intentionally, right? Was anybody talking differently? Were they changing their mind? They're saying they care about kids and they care about women and all this shit, even as they strip their rights, right? All this. Then now Andrew Tate and his brother, both of whom have been accused and are in, different stages of criminal proceedings for human trafficking. They are now coming to the United States because they know that they're going to be protected by the Trump administration. Right? But people still think that what Elon Musk is doing is good. And I realize that they might always think that. And we might have to work around them anyway, which is why. Do you know what this reminds me? All of this is just, it's COVID all over again. Like, do you remember what before it became this lightning rod political moment, they really fucked up the messaging. Do you remember how it started? They said this only impacts old people, right? And first of all, fuck you. Like, as if I miss respect for elders and older people. I love them. I have the best fucking time. They have the best fucking stories. They always have hard candy, right? Shit's delicious. It slaps. Like, you don't even, your throat, bro. They got lozenges all the time, in a purse. And all the old men play chess. They're great company. But we treat them as fucking worthless, right? As if I hate that. But it made it so that well, this doesn't affect us, so we don't need to worry. And of course, all of it was because they were just there's a difference between not wanting to incite panic, right, and caring more about the functioning and the running of the economy and for-profit desires versus protecting people. And we know, like, we're in a very difficult position. And this is why I really like the idea of the left as an actualized entity, because we yap about the liberals constantly. But when I think of who the left is, I don't know who we are. I don't necessarily know who we are. And I'm talking about real leftists, right? Not yappers I like yappers. What is it? The SJW types, or the, couch, what is it? Couch activism types. I'm talking about people who want a coalition build and who want to organize and, focus in on particular strategies. I would love to see who we are, because how are we supposed to criticize, like, focus on the Dems? Like, the Dems can't come out swinging, a lot of them, because they're in the pocket of other billionaires. They're owned. That's what the establishment Dems are. They're absolutely fucking owned. They can't talk about the corporate and billionaire takeover, which is because I was like, Hakeem sounds he sounds so stupid. Everything he says lacks any kind of substance at all, right? And while he's talking about his bitterness for being, accosted by liberals and lefties, and while he uses bullshit terms like the far left, right? DOGE has gained access to confidential records on housing discrimination and medical details that even include things like domestic violence, right? So some agencies have resisted DOGE's sort of takeover, and they're fighting for access to confidential records. But HUD opened the door. And nothing about this group of people, everything that they do is nefarious. Everything is about exploitation. Everything. They can sell that information to private lenders. We don't have protections and regulations anymore. So, I think I came in a little bit moody. You know what? My calorie count was low today. But, I think I'm with you, right? The highs and the lows, and I still feel so unbelievably hopeful. That's a choice that I'm making, because I see all these gaps and I see all the cracks. But in this study moment where we are not actualizing, and what I realized today was, I was like, I need to do something creative. I need to get on a stage or something, because I'm pissed. I'm pissed off, right? So when I'm pissed off, right? When I'm pissed off, it's always good to hear somebody who talks that fucking talk. So I'm going to play 2 clips of AOC where she is talking that fucking talk. Because even as we're angry and frustrated, there are people who know, and there are people who are telling the truth right alongside us. And it is so important to champion those voices. And they're saying it where it matters, right? They're saying it where it matters. So here is Ocasio-Cortez talking that talk.
DOGE did not exist 2 years ago. 19-year-olds were not raiding the Treasury 2 years ago. People who have no idea with medical background have not been hauling in and creating kangaroo courts for scientists to dismiss them 2 years ago.
I love the term kangaroo courts, because I immediately picture a bunch of fucking kangaroos with their little short arms. They're like weirdly muscular arms, just running around, just bumping into each other and chest thumping. Okay. This is be serious, Janaya. Oh my God. This is a serious thing.
That started happening now. Elon Musk is not a scientist. He is not an engineer. He is a billionaire con man with a lot of money.
Ooh, that's right. That's exactly what he is. He's a fucking con man. And he's not even smart.
He does not have this kind of good background. And in fact, while there's some disruption over that, I sincerely ask you all to examine what expertise he has in approving medical devices.
Exactly.
in biomedical engineering devices. And if you all think that he is an expert in that, I've got a bridge to nowhere to sell you.
Ooh.
These are people's lives
She said it doesn't even go to Terabithia, bitch. It goes nowhere.
that are on the line, and we cannot laugh them away. Genuinely, please, I am asking you to please support this amendment for the people who have medical devices stuck in their body. Thank you, and I yield back.
Gentlelady.
All right. I want to play this other one. But right before I do, it just feels appropriate.
Am I tink MIA go kill myself?
Like the fact that they like that sense of urgency and plead, like I one thing I know in my deepest heart of hearts is that caring is loser behavior. It is. We sound, but I want to tell you something. Losers make the best winners, right? We make the best fucking winners. I care. I fucking care about all of this. I care about everything. You will not make me embarrassed to give a fuck. I give so many fucks. I give so many fucks. Here is Ocasio-Cortez again, and what's important about this is that while she is pushing back against this rapacious, disgusting, full sweep, right? Full sweep government, administration, Supreme Court, House, Senate, right? Presidency, all of it. She is also clearly articulating, for the record, right, what it is they are doing and why they are doing it. So give it a couple seconds and then you'll know exactly what's going on.
It has all of our support. For folks following at home, Democrats supported it, Republicans supported it. So why isn't this moving? It's not because there's no substance for it. All 4 witnesses testifying today are in support of it. Republicans are in support, Democrats are in support. So what happened? Well, on December 17th at 4:15 in the morning, Elon Musk began firing off a barrage of social media posts opposing pharmacy benefit manager reform, PBM reform. And all of a sudden, this bill that had almost unanimous support fell apart in a matter of hours. And the vote was postponed on that day after he tweets.
And for the record, this would have lowered the cost of drugs for regular people, everyday people.
Canceled. Elon Musk tweets, we have nearly 435 members of Congress all on board of it. He sends one tweet and all of a sudden, everyone backs off.
Gee, like that level of cowardice, like you hear it, right? You feel it. He does one tweet, and one thing that you'll notice, right, in that initial clip and why I pulled it, because there's obviously like a million examples. And with what she's saying is, there is a consistent talking point, which I think is really important, on the power that this one guy has. And it's not Donald Trump. And look, they're doing a great job right now, right? Of what? Being buddies for 2 fucking thin-skinned narcissists, right? They're Trump and Musk. Musk is doing a really good job. But when the shit hits the fan, and it will, every person who hates Elon Musk in that White House, and I promise you there are so many, right? Every person who hates him is going to take that knife and fucking twist it. And they're going to say, this is the guy. It's his fault. And Donald Trump, who does not, like, the thing is, these people need to be worshipped. They need to be loved. They will separate because Trump will blame everything on Elon Musk. Now, the thing is, damage would be done. Some that might be irrevocable. And Elon Musk will, by 2026, right? Elon Musk will be, so that's next year, Elon Musk will be a trillionaire. Today, he made $8 million. Tomorrow, he's going to make minimum. That's minimum. That's just from DOGE, $8 million, right? The day after that, $8 million. He made it $8 million today. But it's what he's making because of his business interests, the federal contracts, right? I'm not for SpaceX, right? That alone, he lives, his entire business model exists on federal subsidies. up to like 38%, right? And I'll break that down in a second. But there's something that I'm seeing. There's a consistent talking point that I am seeing on challenging not DOGE, but the concentration of power that Elon Musk has. And I think that's smart because when the blowback happens, and it will, he's the one that's going to get blamed. And I think he is the most immediate threat. And whether he is or isn't is debatable. What I do know is that to break up their consolidated power, we have to break them up. And it's those two faggots need to go.
And it kills drug pricing reform.
Wait, just to be clear, sorry, that's a callback to a joke about, I just realized that because, I like to use it for fun, but the reason why I use it is because Elon Musk tweeted out, I love Donald Trump as much as any straight man can love another man. And all the gays were like, this is a faggot. So that's why I said that. Sorry.
Saves people money on their insulin, on their asthma inhalers, on everything that they need.
Asthma inhaler. That's me. That's what. So everybody agreed on this. Just to get us tapped back in, everybody agreed on this bill that this needed to go. And then Elon Musk said one thing, and it would have brought down the cost of insulin. It would have brought down the cost of inhalers, all this stuff. He said one thing, and then it just died on the vine. That's pathetic. This is America? This? Ooh.
And then, to kick it off, 5 days after he kills pharmacy benefit manager reform, we get this tweet from Elon Musk. What is a pharmacy benefit manager? This was at 1:02 a.m. on December 31st of 2024, 5 days or so, a couple days after he kills the bill. So the problem here is not a substance issue. It's not a process issue. It's an oligarchy issue. Mm-hmm. It's a power issue. And this room is where the power of the people of the United States reside. Whether you're a Democrat or you're a Republican, everyone here was elected to be accountable to the people of the United States, not to be governed by tweet, but to be governed by their duly elected representation. And so we can get this done because there are more of us than there are of him. So I would love a commitment from our Republican counterparts who we agree with on this issue to just put it on the floor and let us vote for it where there is bipartisan agreement and we can actually get a result of for the American people by booting this guy out from political influence. And with that, I yield back.
I'm gonna start saying that I yield my time when I'm upset. It's just such a fire line. Only when it's not annoying, but this is it. And so we're hearing it's. I like language. I pay attention to language. I pay attention to rhetoric. You guys know that I'm a nerd. And there's certain terms that keep coming up, but the framing around the concentration of power with Elon Musk, the term oligarchy. Right, these are things that are, and they're not things that are necessarily going to change the mind of what. But we don't need to worry about them. I have no interest in changing the mind of bigots, zero. I couldn't think of a bigger waste of time. That being said, I will plant the seeds of doubt everywhere I go. All right. There's something annoying that I need to go over with you though, because this is where we're at. So remember. We've been talking a lot about, the debate around trans identities and just debate culture in general. Online, right? Online, the biggest thing is it's so stupid what I'm going to say, but it really comes down to your vibe, like how confident you are and how much doubt. It's not always just making your point. It's casting doubt or poking holes in their points. But so much of it it's basically you're gathering aura points. That's the whole thing. But even still, the dangers of this moment are really clear. And as it stands, there there's a movement, of course, against the NCAA and its position on trans athletes. You know, it's always against trans women, right? They don't care. It wouldn't matter all that much if I was like, all right, I'm going to fight guys, right? But all these presumptions about bone density and all that bullshit, right? And I trust science. I'm a big believer in science, and science is a thing that constantly evolves. That's what we learned during the live play-by-play during the pandemic and COVID. The more we learned, the more, like, the better. Like, at first it was like, you remember when we were, and I'm really, I think, unpacking how traumatic that time was for us, you know, collectively, just really sitting at it, because I kind of skirted that over. But you remember, like, we wouldn't even touch boxes that had to been delivered to the house, you know, because you couldn't leave the house, something, and you would put on gloves just to touch boxes or bags, and you'd had to, you know, it went from that to understanding that it was, you know, how it was transmitted and where it died and what surfaces and how long it could live and, you know, all this stuff. And then, of course, the vaccines got better, and we learned that stuff in real time. When it comes to, oh wow, I had a tangent and then totally lost where I was, but just with there was some sort of oh right, the science that evolves, and the science around trans athlete participation has actually gotten really, really good, like really good. Trans athletes, women, they have to, trans women athletes. Oh, and a really good line is to remember when someone's like, well, if she's not a woman, if she's trans, I'm like, I just remind people that it's an adjective, right? She's a woman. We're just using a descriptive form for what type of woman, right? We say women of color, that's a descriptive term. So anyway, just another stupid little thing, but to remember when you're thinking about how to rebuttal in ways that don't make you want to go nuts, but at least but you said something, and you said something that was disruptive and important. But wow, I am digressing too much. I need to get to the point. So out of the 500,000 or so current women athletes in the NCAA, about 10 of them are trans women, like a very small number, and most of them aren't that great, right? They're like really mid. Okay. So, but there's TERFs, right? This coalition of women. I have my own. They're disappointing. That's all I can say. I have a lot of empathy for the hurt, that misogyny. As you know, I have very strong feelings about the way that we have swept women under the fucking rug. When it came to just our entire leftist culture. But you know who didn't do that? A bunch of bitches, other women. Do you know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? You care more about this? That like female athletes, college athletes, they are barely treated in with any level of respect, most of them, right? I mean, thank goodness we fought, and there was these NIL deals that are coming out, and you know, people are looking at women's basketball differently. I love Paige Bucher's NCAA, you know, sports. I fucking big fan. Juju is so fucking incredible, you know. I love Dawn. Every time the USC runs out, I'm watching her games. But I'm gonna play something that's gonna fucking piss you off. This group, they succeeded in getting the 5 or so trans athlete banned now from the NCAA, right? So they did that. That's what they wanted to do. That's what the Trump administration helped them do. And these trans athletes can no longer perform, right? That's what they wanted. Doesn't matter. All the tests, the fact that they have to sit out for like a year or two while their body adjusts, if they haven't been on estrogen long enough, right? All their muscle mass, all of that, right? That wasn't enough. That was not enough. They moved the goalposts. That's what they did. And this is what we told them was going to happen, right? It matters because it's now no longer, they moved the goalposts. It's not about banning trans women athletes anymore. It's now about monitoring the masculinity of women, right? Let me play this for you. I'm going to play this for you. So this is like some bullshit. This is, you know, Charlie, Jennifer. This is the X. They have this. I swear to God, this is the name. CEO of XXXY Athletics. Could you come up with a more fucking loser name? This is their little stupid commercial, and they're going after Charlie Baker, right? Who leads the NCAA, and it's like, why, right? Why would you? What campaign could you possibly have when you've already done what you supposedly wanted to do? Well, why don't we play it?
We see you, NCAA.
We see you, NCAA.
We see you. You announced a new policy after Trump's executive order.
This policy does not protect females.
It sets no clear boundary.
This policy does nothing.
To ensure women's sports are for women only. You said you were going to comply.
And yes, for those of you listening, they have that Amy Schumer glow, if you know what I mean, that crazy in the eyes, but not in the cool way. Trump supporting type, you know what I'm talking about.
With federal law.
But you didn't.
Your policy is based on a birth certificate. That's the proof.
Do you, okay. You see, now connect this to the fact, right? That, to the SAVE Act that we went over a couple days ago, where they are now not allowing people to vote if you do not present your passport or your birth certificate. Now, compared to this, what they're saying right here is the ban isn't enough because birth certificates could be altered. Birth certificates could be altered, right? That's not proof enough. These fucking Nancy Mace looking dragon. Okay. No, you are not Bill Burr, Janaya. Stop it. Stop it. Okay. Here we go.
Proof required.
But it's no proof of sex.
A birth certificate is a piece of paper,
which can be altered in all but 6 states.
And around the world.
I'm just going to mention right here, half these bitches would not pass their own tests. And I am not body shaming. I'm saying that what is now being policed, like, how did women become the most sophisticated fucking misogynists on the right? Like, wow, well done. Big win for women's rights. The same way that killing your kid for not getting vaccines. Oh, you really own the liberals now. I fucking hate. No, anyway, sorry. Not articulate. Okay, here we go.
And they can be wrong.
In 44 states, a person can change their birth certificate to say.
I'm sorry, but this person that, like, YouTube will appreciate it, but for y'all not there, this person is so lipless, her mouth looks like an asshole. Do you understand? It's a sphincter. I'm looking at a sphincter. And her whole glow, her whole aura is a bird anus.
A female.
All of
And
them.
your policy still allows males on women's teams and in their locker rooms.
We see you, Charlie Baker.
We see you, Charlie Baker.
We see you, NCAA.
We see you.
We've been spit on.
We've been yelled at.
Called terrible names.
Literally, first of all, none of this happened. And if it did, it was a bunch of weird dudes. Like, can we just be serious?
We've been shot at.
You tried to silence us. But we are not going away.
Young athletes are depending on us.
They're depending on you. And if you won't stand up for female athletes,
We will. We demand fair sports.
They don't blink.
We deserve safe sports.
One of them blinked.
We aren't backing down.
NCAA women's teams
Are for female athletes only. That means those born female. XX only.
That means those born female. That means those born female. Those born female only. Only those born female. It doesn't, like, they don't even understand science, y'all. There are so many variations. There's so many chromosomal variations, and it's so common. And actually, the vast, like, no, I don't want to say the vast majority, but there's a disproportionate representation of people, of female athletes. I can't remember the exact. Somebody smarter than me will know what I'm talking about. Listening to this, it's an additional, like, Y chromosome or something, but it's like an XXY or something like that actually lends to higher naturally produced testosterone, etc. There is a deeper concentration of female athletes who have that in athletics. So in athletics versus the general population, because because they're women. They're women. They're women. They're born female. They're born female. Even though, according to these dumb, it takes everything. It takes everything in me to not, in these moments, say misogynistic terms that for even though they're so good, I don't like to use them when it's so on the nose. And so it's a disservice to women. So I'm going to call them dickheads, assholes, cucks, and a myriad other things. Give me good words, right? They're just dumb. They're so stupid. They're so unbelievably stupid.
No substitutes.
Test for sex. That's their movement. This is their feminist movement. Test for sex, and then followed by the words, time to comply. Yeah, this is gonna go real well for women. You fucking idiots. So stupid. Okay. The truth, but XXXY athletics. What an idiot. Okay. Okay. You know what? I think I'm gonna drink some tea. Then I'll inject some. It's just like, oh yeah, but the eggs, you guys. Well, you know what? The eggs might not be so expensive because apparently you've got to, the next step will be proving that you can produce them in order to be considered a bitch in this world. What a bunch of idiots. Oh my God. You know, one of my favorite things I saw online once was just like, something about interrogating the whole, like, some women don't deserve to be saved. And then there was like a meme that was like, yeah, because some bitches are dumb. It's just like, yeah, it reminds me of that. And I'm sure J.K. Rowling loved this. But can you imagine? Test for sex, time to comply. Yep, that's feminism. Great job. Great job. Great job. All the men who call you whores will love it. It's only acceptable when Bill Burr says it. All right. I was going to talk about Bezos and his overstepping. He's now, I guess we'll just round it out there because this is kind of a big story. We do, like, as you know, the OG listeners, more than a few episodes back, but there was, prior to the election, a bunch of billionaires were showing their hand, and I tried to ignore some of the ominous signs in terms of hope, but when the billionaires really started to step out of the shadows, and the ones who owned prints or newspapers or news media platforms like Bezos, who owns the Washington Post, and what's his name? The guy who owns the LA Times. Hold on, LA. He's a billionaire too. Yes, Dr. Patrick Soon-Shiong, billionaire, right? They issued mandates. They issued mandates that said that they would not, because Soon-Shiong owns the LA Times, that there would be no presidential endorsement, breaking, like a decades of tradition and precedent. And then Soon-Shiong then said that, there needed to be a more tempered approach to covering political matters, which obviously, and including the opinion section, which is like, then it's not an opinion section, you fucking dork. That's not what an opinion is, because an opinion is something that's sorry. Got to get to the point. So Jeff Bezos did the same thing, right? It was just like, you can't do this, but he's gone one step further, Bezos now, right? And he's actually so ballsy about it. Like, literally, like, I'm just thinking of his stupid, shiny head. And I was like, is that, that's what I thought of when I thought of ballsy. But he sent this out to his demands. And he sent an email out to the staff at the Washington Post and then publicly issued it. And this is what he said. This was his note. This is a statement. I shared this note with the Washington Post team this morning. I'm writing to let you know about a change coming to our opinion pages. We are going to be writing every day in support and defense of two pillars: personal liberties and free markets. These two, I'm breaking off from him. from his thing for a second. So I want to interrogate this. Actually, you know what? I'll read it. I'll finish reading it and then we'll go back, right? So here we go. He goes on to say, we'll cover other topics too, of course, but viewpoints opposing those pillars will be left to be published by others. Fascist. There was a time when a newspaper, especially one that was a local monopoly, might have seen it as a service to bring to the reader's doorstep every morning a broad-based opinion section that sought to cover all views. Today, the internet does that job. Fascist. I am of America and for America. I am of America. Like, nigga, all those billions and you can't write better than this? And proud to be so. Our country did not get here by being typical. And a big part of America's success has been freedom in the economic realm and everywhere else. Freedom is ethical. It minimizes coercion and practical. It drives creativity, invention, and prosperity. I offered David Shipley, whom I greatly admired, the opportunity to lead this new chapter. I suggested to him that if the answer wasn't hell yes, then it had to be no. After careful consideration, David decided to step away. David Shipley was a lifer. Like, he was a lifer at this place. It is massive that he left. This means you got to understand something. It was one thing to pull precedent, right? That was fucked up. But now you are changing its editorial code. Fascist. That's what you're doing. That's why he left. So after careful consideration, David decided to step away. This is a significant shift. It won't be easy and will require 100% commitment. I respect his decision. We'll be searching for a new opinion editor to own this new direction. I'm confident that free markets and personal liberties are right for America. I also believe these viewpoints are underserved in the current market of ideas and news opinion. I'm excited for us together to fill that void. These are just lies, right? I want to be really clear. How can you say you can't say personal liberties when you are literally capping what those liberties are? You are hampering personal expression. You're saying it can only be in these areas. And the other thing that's laughable, right? So that, like, let's be clear, that's a very transparent fascist agenda. The other thing that's really laughable here is, this idea of free markets. They don't exist. There's only monopolies. We don't have antitrust laws. We've gone over these things. They're not enforced. They don't exist, and certainly not under an oligarchy. I'm not going to spend any more time on this bald bitch. Now I'm going to say something that I want to remind us of. The thing that makes you feel less useless is a little bit of creativity, right? And I know I keep talking about this, but I want you to just do a little something a day. Just whatever it is. I don't care. Because it doesn't matter. This shit is poison. I want to remind you of why you care, why you get angry, or why you get sad, or why you feel despondent. It's because you're smart. And it's because what you're seeing is inhumane, and the sane reaction is how you feel. You are 100% right. And when we see wrong in the world, right, and it is incomprehensible. You can't make sense. You feel physically ill. Right. That's the point of this. That's what they want to do. So when we're met with poison, we have to find the things that are the antidote. Right. Laughter is the medicine. Love is the medicine. Community is the medicine. Friendship is the medicine. But some of us don't have all those things. I've had different points of times in my life where I haven't had those things, and even now I'm going through major shifts. As I, move into another stage of my life. And I want to say this to you, wherever this finds you, you aren't alone. You aren't alone. And part of the reason why I put this show at the pace that I do is because I need you to know that, because I'm in this with you. And I'm doing this too so that I don't feel alone. We are doing this together, and we are going to get out of this together. This is not the end. It is the revelation that we have been warning people was on the way. And there have always been people like you championing and saying, nope, this is where we're headed. This is fucked up. And it is the nature of fascist, disgusting, power-hungry fools. That is what this system, that's who it propagates. That's who it celebrates. We thrive as the masses. And yes, things are changing a little bit. They are. And we have to figure out what our 21st century model of organizing looks like. But the more naked and obvious and cruel they are, the more powerful we become. The more people will look for something real, something authentic, something meaningful. Right? So while this happens, my hope is in this with you that you know that this is a soft place to land and also a place to sharpen our shit. I'm in this shit with you. We're doing this for the long haul. This is nothing. This is nothing. I say this not as a warning, but just as a fact. Once the real impact of what they're doing and what they've done, once it really hits, right? That's when when it hits the hardest. That's when it's gonna hurt. But that's when we get to work. That's when it's our time to start to move, right? Right now we're studying, and we're preparing ourselves. But yeah, I when I look at this, I get angry and today was a day where I was just, I was like, I couldn't find my little funny bone. So, I had to rely on good old Google Translate voice.
Am I tink MIA go kill myself?
Sorry, I still get a kick out of that. You know what it was that pissed me off today? And then I know I gotta go. It was fuck. Okay, so Twitter is still the best place to get news, direct from politicians, and their stupid moves, and I hate that because it's such a fucking disgusting cesspool. But Blue Sky is so fucking boring. Everybody's so good there. Nobody's unhinged enough. They're just not. And Threads, what is that? Am I asleep on it? Somebody tell me if I should be on Threads. I will look for your comments. Please tell me. DM me, put it in on YouTube comments, put it in Spotify. I just found out I was reminded there was comments there, and I loved reading them. But am I asleep on Threads? Every time I go there, I'm like, what is this? Anyway, the thing that really is aggravating me is the race-based science bullshit, that pseudoscience shit, the shit where black people just have lower IQs and da-da-da-da-da-da, and it goes into weird eugenics and craniology and all that bullshit. It's like we're back in that, and it's everywhere. It's all over the Daily Wire, and that shit really pisses me off. It's so manipulative. And that casual racism and black people being aggressors and shit. I'm just like, it's Black Christmas, first of all. Fuck you. But it makes me so angry because, I'm reminded of Fanon. And then, yes, oh, sorry, I'm doing it again. I'm yapping too much. But I'm reminded of Fanon, where we do this thing, right? And we all do this thing. And if you're doing this thing, this is a good time for you to hear this. We try to negotiate with our oppression. Right? Like because there's our part of our brain and our spirits, our souls will always try to make sense of what is happening. But you cannot reason with illogic. And doing so makes you sick. Reasoning with illogic makes you sick. That is why racism makes you sick. That's why misogyny makes you sick. It's these fucking stupid, weird rules that are treated, that are made up and treated as fact, right? Women are just this. Black people are just that. Chinese people are just that. And it's so fucking stupid. Trans people are just that. And Candace Owens went full transphobic, and lickety split. And I don't know how many people who got caught up in her wave of Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni shit are just like, oh, I better go. And however many are just like, nope, I like her now. That's it. Right? It's the illogic and makes you sick. So we got to find those corrective spaces. I get that here. I already feel a million times better because I'm just like, we are doing this. We're studying and we're doing this. There is a subset of people, it's true, who will never change their mind about Elon Musk or Donald Trump. But we have always been the masses, and we are our best resource. We are our best resource. That is why they come down on us so hard. And look at who they're focused on: women, Black people, trans people, right? These are the three areas that they really keep hitting. That is because, particularly for women and Black folks in the U.S., in the context of the U.S., And I would say trans folks are as a representative for the larger LGBTQ community, because all the casual homophobia and all that bullshit is coming back too, is because these are the foundations of civil rights, of human rights. Like these are the folks who ushered those rights in, who fought for labor rights, etc. Not just to vote, right? All of it. And if they keep attacking us in the culture, right, we now know that there are serious political ramifications for that. And we're not going to win with people like Hakeem Jeffries, but guess what? That dumb bitch and Chuck Schumer, something's happening where we are changing our understanding of what we need. We just have to stay in the pocket long enough to get there. And that is what we're good at. We are fucking good at the gorilla shit, because all of you have jars in your house that you do not need. You have so many jars because you are always preparing. 2 of them got cracks. Some of them still got the stains. You got covers that got rust on it. You turn them into candle holders and fucking plants. You drink out of them. You use them as measuring cups. I know you. All right. Yeah, too much. We don't got time for this shit. Was this even longer than yesterday? I'm so sorry. I do all this fucking, I get all this research and then I get here and I'm like, oh God, I hope I have enough. And then I can't shut the fuck up. I love y'all. I'll hit the outro music. I'm over this. This is ridiculous. All right. Just want to say thank you so much for listening to Dark Woke. It means the world to me. The show really is a labor of love. New episodes drop every day of the week. We're available everywhere podcasts are. Don't forget that Dark Woke is self-funded. If you love the show, please feel free to support it as best you can. We're at Patreon/DarkWoke. Don't forget, I want to hear from you. Drop your questions to darkwokejfk@gmail.com. I'm going to be talking to Pink Fox tomorrow, so look out for that. Shout out to KR and Carolyn. Shout out to you, the listeners that make it all possible. Love you. Peace.